Two. Welcome back to another CBB Talk. It is Friday, January 20th, and we're going to do a little weekend preview. But first, we got to talk about two big things that happened over the last couple of days, or I guess we can talk about some games. But one is, of course, Mike Brey announcing he'll be stepping down as head coach of Notre Dame men's basketball after this year. The winningest coach in Notre Dame history, took them to an Elite Eight. One if not the greatest, one of the greatest coaches in Notre Dame men's basketball history. A great coach, a guy who's led this program to great places, a great leader, a great just guy. One of the most funny coaches, one of the funniest coaches in college basketball. Not afraid to speak his mind. A guy that is high energy, high character, someone that you would want and love to play for. I actually have met Mike Brey, so this is a little personal to me. This is when I was a lot younger. I went to the ACC tournament when I was in Washington D.C., and I was with my dad and my friend, his dad, and we were walking down the street. I think this is the year after they made the Elite Eight, maybe 2 years after, maybe it was 2017, maybe it's 2016. And we'll go in this in the morning. I think Notre Dame may have lost the night before. I can't remember. They played the night before. We went to their game. Then we were going in the morning, and we walked right past him on the street. He said hi. Super nice guy. Got a picture with him. So, I don't remember too much of that conversation, but I do remember he was nice enough to take a picture with us, maybe probably after a loss. So that's just super good guy, and I don't know what his future has or the future coach for Notre Dame basketball, but he's gonna leave this program in good hands and a legend in Notre Dame basketball history. And the other biggest news was Gonzaga losing their first home game in 75 or 76 if you count the game at Spokane Arena against Kentucky. But 75 straight games in the kennel. They lose their first one in a while to LMU, Loyola Marymount. This is the first time Loyola Marymount's beat Gonzaga in 25 games. First time we won at Gonzaga since 1991. This the Gonzaga team's weaker than a lot of Gonzaga teams in the past. I think this is the first quad three loss ever in Gonzaga history since they've been keeping track of that. So I think it's the fifth or sixth year of that. Just Gonzaga's just not as good and not on the same level as they were years prior. And that doesn't mean that you should start hanging Gonzaga and calling them frauds. They lay an egg. They usually don't lay eggs, but they did last night, Thursday. LMU played a good game. It's the first time Gonzaga's lost to a team that wasn't St. Mary's and BYU in the WCC in, I think, 4 or 5 years. So that's just crazy. Gonzaga's owned this conference. They're probably still going to win it. But right now, I have one spot in my top 25 over St. Mary's. So that top of the WCC is close. I have Gonzaga dropped 9 spots after that loss for number 6, number 15. St. Mary's at 16. They'll play until 2 weekends, I believe. So that'll be a very interesting game. St. Mary's beat them last year. Can they do it again? They always give Gonzaga trouble. And this is a year that St. Mary's could win the WCC for the first time in a while. So, yeah, that was big news. I'm not too concerned about Gonzaga, but it is something interesting to, just take a look at. Since I last talked to you, UConn is now trash. I've dropped them out of my top 25. I know they didn't have Dan Hurley and all, but that's still you still gotta play that into as a fact. I know that's a factor, but they lost at Seton Hall. They're now 4-5 in Big East play. I dropped them out of my top 25. Just out, but out. Auburn keeps rolling. Now they have the longest home winning streak. They're now up to 22 in my rankings. Anything else on Wednesday? Ohio State's really bad. Them in Nebraska, Michigan, Ohio State, those are the bottom 4 with Minnesota. Virginia got that much needed win with Steph Curry in the building, so that's really cool. Steph Curry in the building, they get the win. TCU lose one on the road. That TCU loss, I dropped them, but they're still 14th on my rankings. It's hard to win games on the road in the Big 12. Michigan State got their humble at the back. Xavier took a loss at DePaul. Very interesting loss there. Xavier was rolling undefeated in the Big East before that game. They are now 10th in my they're 10th in my rankings. And one sec. Okay, so I wanted to show you my there you go. My top 25. So here's a look at it. You got You see TCU sitting at 14 after they took that loss. Xavier, I mean they dropped, but now they're back going up to 10 after that loss to Gonzaga. Marquette gave Providence a loss after a great first half. It was up and down. A great game. Marquette's now up number 9. Shaka Smart doing an amazing job. Providence still 20. I still like this Providence team, but they might not be in my rankings for much longer with one more loss or close game. Let's go. And that was Wednesday's games. We'll go on Thursday's games. And we got Rutgers took a loss last night to Michigan State, and now look at Michigan State in my top 25 once again. Can they hold on, be there? We'll see. Rutgers, you see they dropped out. So did Illinois after they lost to Indiana. Indiana getting a little win streak. They're not really in my honorable mentions now because I still have Illinois, Iowa. They played really good basketball recently. Rutgers playing really good basketball recently. San Diego State playing really good basketball. Boise State, underrated team. Higher than that, Texas A&M, there was below Boise State because Boise State's beat Texas A&M this year, and then New Mexico, who plays Boise State tonight. We'll get to this preview later, but that's going to be such a good game. Charleston remains playing great basketball. Yes, I talked about Michigan. They're not that good anymore. Purdue only allowed 39 points to Minnesota, so they keep doing their thing. There in UCLA gets a huge win against Arizona State. They're moving. They're still reigning supreme in the Pac-12. They are looking so dang good. I think this UCLA team, who I have them 5th in my rankings, and they're right there up to being higher and being in that top 4. Them and Kansas really close, and they have a huge game Saturday that we'll talk about in a little bit. You can imagine who, if I'm saying it's a huge game, like maybe probably best game of the weekend type game against a team in my top 25. So that tells you. I'm not going to say it, but they're the only other team in the Pac-12 that's in my top 25. But yeah, I think these 5 teams have separated themselves, and you have a clump from around 6 to 15 that I think any of these teams could lose any night to any of the these other ones, because you've seen Virginia take down a Baylor, Illinois, play Houston decent at home. Alabama's beat Houston, but Gonzaga's beat Alabama. Kansas lost to Kansas State, but Kansas beat Iowa State. So, this is the great thing about college basketball is, it's going to be a great regular season. And then when it comes to the postseason, you start to see where teams separate themselves, but it's still such a mystery going into the tournament. Single game, anything can happen. And that's what makes it, so fun. Makes college basketball so great is that it's at any given day, a team can, start, turn it up. So back to sorry. All right. So we're back. Quick break, and we'll get into this weekend preview. Talk about the games. It's not the greatest weekend, but we still got some heaters. Starting on Friday. Just Friday, there's one good game to look out. We'll go for Sat and Sunday. NFL players is on, but of course, leading up to the 4 o'clock, so now we get to watch more college basketball, which no one complains about watching more college basketball. All right, so quick break, and I'll see you for the preview. All right, let's get into this little preview. The big game on Friday to take note of is 11 o'clock Eastern time, so you probably won't be watching, but look out for the result. It's Boise State and New Mexico, two teams my honorable mention. If Boise State gets this one on the road, this might prop them up to being on the top 25 because some teams are going to lose in that top 25. Both these teams playing really good in the Mountain West. Boise State tied for the lead in Mountain West at 5-1. A tournament team last year trying to get back there again. New Mexico, of course, got off to that really hard start, and they're playing bad basketball now. It's in the pit. This is gonna be tough, for Boise State, but if they can get this one on the road, they're 2.5-point underdogs. If they get this dub, watch out for Boise State. They will sneak into these rankings coming in next week. But let's get into Saturday because we got some good games Saturday. Let's first start with Miami at Duke. Of course, we do not know about Jeremy Roach yet. We'll see. He's a game time decision. That's going to be a big factor for them because Duke's guards really lack, and Miami's strengths are their guards in Nigel Pack and Isaiah Wong. Two teams fighting for not Duke really, but Miami fighting to be on the top of that ACC. Duke has struggled in ACC play. Haven't played since Saturday when they lost to Clemson. Trying to avoid back-to-back losses. Trying to avoid Saturday losses for 3 straight Saturdays. Hosting Miami, they're 5-point favorites. I think that's a little of a vicious line. I know Duke loves to hit the glass. That's their calling card this year, and Miami struggles with it. But I think Miami can cover. I wouldn't be too shocked if they pull out this win. I think Duke's going to win a tight one. It's in Cameron. The crazies is going to be there, and this is a must-win game for Duke to get back on the right track and get back to 500 in ACC play. Miami, get this win. You got back into my top 25. You can solidify yourself there today. Arkansas is hosting Ole Miss. They need to win badly. They really need to win quite bad. Sorry for the quick intermission. But anyways, yeah, Arkansas really needs to win badly there. A big game at 1 on CBS. This might be the second best game of the weekend. It's TCU traveling to Lawrence, going into the field house. They're playing Kansas, a game that, let's be real, this is going to be a tough one for TCU. They couldn't get a win on the road at West Virginia. I highly doubt they're going to get a win on the road at Kansas. But Kansas has played tough games on the road this whole year. West Virginia gave them fits. Iowa State gave them fits. Oklahoma State gave them fits, all when they were at home. So this one for Kansas is a big one. If they can get this blowout win after coming off a loss, it'll show a lot of character in this team. I expect them to win. I'm expecting them to come out with fire, and an 8.5-point spread is pretty big for a game between two top 15 teams according to the rankings. TCU trying to avoid back-to-back losses. They've lost 3 out of their last 4. Trying to get right back on the right page would be huge for Kansas. Georgia, sneaky team playing really good. They host Vanderbilt. We're going through Providence. Need a win. DePaul just beat Xavier. I highly doubt DePaul's going to go into Providence. You never knew. Ohio State needs a win bad. Iowa, they played better basketball over the last couple weeks after opening, Big 12 play poorly. Iowa hasn't had a game since Saturday. They're supposed to play Northwestern, so will they be rusty? We'll see. But Iowa's played really good basketball recently. Ohio State hasn't. Ohio State's at home 5.5-point favorites. If they lose this game, tournament chances looking slim to none for Ohio State after being a known tournament team. And Iowa is trying to put themselves back in the tournament for another year. Iowa State is going into Oklahoma State as an underdog for a team that's probably a top 10 team in the next rankings. They're my 6th ranked team, unranked Oklahoma State, probably not a tournament team. That's an interesting line there. Iowa State, I know road wins in the Big 12 are hard to come by. I'm well aware, but I should expect an Iowa State W there. Texas A&M at Kentucky, 2 teams on my radar. Kentucky at home in Rupp. I'm looking for a win from Kentucky against a good team Kansas State, Texas Tech. Kansas State should get that one done. Virginia going on the road at Wake. Wake is on a 15-game home winning streak, one of the longest in the country. I think it's top 5 in the country, longest win streaks. Virginia coming off a win against Virginia Tech, going on the road. Well, Wake is undefeated this year at home. They're playing really well. They've already knocked off Duke at home. They've knocked off Carolina at home. They've knocked off Miami, I believe, at home. Virginia if they go in there, this would be, a huge win for them, and they're 10th in the country, and this win could move them up into my top 10. But it's gonna be tough. I honestly don't expect them to win. They're favorites in this one. I like that Wake Forest plus 2.5 there. Virginia, they've been playing better though. They have been playing better. They just don't have a lot of bigs, which is something you need in the ACC, and their bigs aren't great. Baylor trying to get another road win against Oklahoma. They've played better. They played really good after starting Big 12 play. I believe 0-3. They've rattled off three in a row. Get another one at Oklahoma, Baylor, and you're back into contention to win the conference. Marquette going at Seton Hall. Very interesting. Seton Hall coming off a home win against UConn, trying to snag another one. Shaheen Holloway doing a pretty good job at Seton Hall in his first year coaching at the major level. It was a slower start for them. They're starting to play better basketball. Some people say they're one of the most underrated teams in the country. Get a win against a really good Marquette team, you'll get more people talking. Tennessee going on the road at LSU. That should be an easy one for Tennessee. They are playing really good. Again, a big one at 5 o'clock in my home state. A huge rivalry. It's NC State going at UNC. In my opinion, the top 2 teams in the state going at it. Who's going to be the best team in the state? At Carolina. Carolina owns NC State. Every time NC State's going to get a win, their fans will post like crazy, and then you won't hear about them for the next couple months. And I think Carolina, this game's going to put them back on the map of being in the rankings conversations. NC State should be a ranked team. I don't know how they weren't this week, but at Carolina is a tough one in the Dean Dome. I don't see NC State winning this game. If they win this game, Carolina, that's a tough one. At NC State, you're legit. Jaquavion Smith is one of the best players in the country and could be ACC Player of the Year. He's going to be up there with Isaiah Wong, Kihei Clark, Kyle Flipkowski, Armando Bacot. He's going to be up there with those players. But I could see Jaquavion Smith leading this Carolina team, and Jarkel Joyner is playing really good basketball too. Alabama traveling at Missouri. Missouri's got 2 wins in a row. Alabama looks like the best team in the SEC by a wide margin. On the road, there would be a nice win from Alabama just to keep that train rolling, bus rolling. I don't know what the expression is. Texas on the road against West Virginia. West Virginia trying to pick up 2 big wins in a row. After starting 0-5 in conference play, getting the 2-5, you're starting to build a little tournament resume. They're good in projected metrics. Texas coming off a loss. Let's get a win here, Texas. They've been up and down without Coach Beard. Tyrese Hunter, has been amazing after losing to Iowa State. This week, he's been up and down. Marcus Cart's really been their best player. Timmy Allen's such a good player too. Texas is balanced, but a win at West Virginia is much needed. We got Clemson trying to get back on the win train against Vatech. Vatech's really bad this year in ACC play. They were start off the year ranked. They got in the rankings. They were like 11-1, and now they're 1-6, I think, in ACC play. So pretty disappointing. Of course, you got FAU Charleston. Keep the win streaks alive would be huge. But I didn't talk about the biggest game because I'm saving this one for last. And it's UCLA playing Arizona. At Arizona, 2 of the best teams in the country. Arizona struggled so far in ACC play, and UCLA is the betting favorite on the road in the McKale Center, a place where it's very hard to go in and win. It's very hard to go in and win. Arizona, they've lost 2 games of Pac-12 play, games that kind of gone under the radar, and they lost at home to Oregon. That's Utah. It's the only loss Tommy Lloyd ever has had in the McKale Center as this is his second year as coach. UCLA's the 3rd hottest team in the country in win streaks. They're playing like one of the best teams, if not the best team in the country. That's how they're playing. Jaime Jaquez, Tiger Camel, Jalen Clark, David Singleton. They don't even have Amari Bailey, and they don't. It's showing like they don't need him. Dama Bona, he's been their best freshman, but being favorites on the road against Arizona, a place where usually no one wins. I think if Arizona gets this win, I think it just shows that this was a bad line and that Arizona, is back to being a very legit team. But if UCLA can pull off this win on the road against Arizona, I might have to put them in my top 4. I might just have to be like, Kansas, I'm sorry, you got a nice win, against TCU. But this UCLA win would be huge, especially if they can somehow win in dominant fashion, like they have been doing all Pac-12 play. But we'll see. This Saturday, that game is going to be a must-watch game. It's at 2 o'clock, so it's at 11 a.m. tip-off on West Coast time. And then, or maybe they might be in Mountain West time, so it might be actually 12. Probably is Mountain time. And then that's leading right into the football game at 4. So watch that game. If you want to see some good basketball, 2 great teams that you're going to be in there in March in the second weekend. On Sunday, you got a CBS game at 12 between Michigan State and Indiana. Both teams playing better basketball of recent. Indiana finally getting some wins. I think they're at 2 in a row. Michigan State, in my rankings, they just struggle. Every time they get in there, they just lose. I want to see a win from Michigan State. I love Tom Izzo. A win there would be big. And Purdue playing Maryland. Purdue should win that game. Maryland's just in. That's all I got to say. Maryland's just in. So, yeah, that's all on the weekend. That's all I got for the slate of games today. My mouth is dry. I got this ice in this water was frozen, so now it's messed up. All right. Thank you for watching the CBB talk. Watch more college basketball. I didn't wear a college shirt today because why not? I'm wearing this White Sox hat, so that's good enough. Look at the hair now. Anyways, peace out. Thanks for watching episode 18. Can't believe we're almost at 20. Thanks.